Did you want to put it up on the...
Oh, I have to show the screen. I forgot. Usually someone shows the screen, you know.
Small. Yeah.
Folio views, is that what it's called?
Recently in Australia, Google means that anyway.
You're cutting out,
those
Susan.
places.
Okay, chant the prayer.
Cool.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Anagyanasya Dhananjanan Shalakaya. Saksho Anumanitanyena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Stapmitam Dena Bhutale. Swayam Rupa Karabhayam Dharati Swaparantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutupara Kamaram Shri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Shri Rupam Sagara Jatam Sahagana Ragana Tanvitam Tam Sa Shivan Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Paran Sahagana Lalita Shri Vitamvitamscha Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Janju Jagapate Gopisi Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostate Saptakatana Gaurangi Radhe Vindavaneshwari Vishabhanasuri Devi Pramani Hari Priye Panchakapaturiyascha Kripa Sindhu Vyevacha Patinam Pavandivyo Vaishnavyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishmaraya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Guravani Pacharani Nirvishesha Shuddhavari Pachachadesha Tarani Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
So, you know, the mood of a devotee is, you know, this is the point. Come go in here. All right.
Is it recording, Prabhu? Already? Yeah.
Yeah, recording it. Okay, this is the, you want to read it?
Although Apyuta very standard is above all, he still considers himself to be in the lowest stage of life.
So see, this is how a devotee, you know, you always have to have this kind of consciousness. No matter how much he advances, he has to have humility, you know.
Yes.
You cannot at any point of time think that, okay, I've made it, I know everything. So when the person thinks like that, that means spiritually is not making progress. So this is all just, it is not some kind of thing that you can be duplicious, it is in the mind. So your mind is always telling you things. So what your mind is telling you, from there you can gauge whether we are, making progress or not making progress. If the mind is thinking that, oh, I'm swell guy and I'm so pure now, I'm, vegetarian and I'm chanting Hare Krishna, you see, I have so much love for Krishna, blah, blah, blah. That means we know we are in the lower stage of our spiritual life.
Prabhupada, I don't know, might have been in a morning walk, but one verse mentioned something, yeah, we are vegetarian. And then Prabhupada says, even the pigeons are vegetarian. To keep them that humble.
So this is very important, in fact, one of the quality of surrendering to Krishna, there's 6 things to surrender, I think it's 22, 100 maybe. Yeah, you see here, there are 6 things to surrender, and the last one is, you see that here. Humility, So unless one is humble, then there's no meaning to surrendering, Yeah? Yeah, of course, there's 6 things you want to do. You can read this.
One who is the 6 divisions of surrender are the acceptance of those things favorable to devotional service, the rejection of unfavorable things, the conviction that Krishna will give protection, the acceptance of the Lord as one's guardian or master, full self-surrender and humility.
So actually, carry on reading.
One who is fully surrendered is qualified with the 6 following characteristics. 1. The devotee has to accept everything that is favorable for the rendering of transcendental loving service to the Lord. 2. He must reject everything unfavorable to the Lord's service. This is also called renunciation. 3. A devotee must be firmly convinced that Krishna will give him protection. No one else can actually give one protection. And being firmly convinced of this is called faith. This kind of faith is different from the faith of an impersonalist who wants to merge into the Brahman effulgence in order to benefit by cessation of repeated birth and death. A devotee wants to remain always in the Lord's service. In this way, Krishna is merciful to his devotee and gives him all protection from the dangers found on the path of devotional service. 4. The devotee should accept Krishna as his supreme maintainer and master. He should not think that he is being protected by a demigod. He should depend only on Krishna, considering him the only protector. The devotee must be firmly convinced that within the 3 worlds, he has no protector or maintainer other than Krishna. 5. Self-surrender means remembering that one's activities and desires are not independent. The devotee is completely dependent on Krishna, and he acts and thinks as Krishna desires. The devotee is meek and humble. Lord Krishna states in the Bhagavad Gita, I am seated in everyone's heart, and from me come remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. By all the Vedas, I am to be known. Indeed, I am the compiler of Vedanta. and I am the knower of the Vedas. Situated in everyone's heart, Krishna deals differently according to the living entity's position. The living entity's position is to be under the protection of the illusory energy or under Krishna's personal protection. When a living entity is fully surrendered, he is under the direct protection of Krishna, and Krishna gives him all intelligence by which he can advance in spiritual realization. The non-devotee, however, being under the protection of the illusory energy, increasingly forgets his relationship with Krishna. Sometimes it is asked how Krishna causes one to forget. Krishna personally causes his devotee to forget material activities, and through the agency of Maya, Krishna causes the non-devotee to forget his devotional service to the Lord. This is called apahana.
So you see, this is a two different parallel, you know. If you want to forget, then Krishna makes you forget. And if Krishna wants you to remember, then he also makes you remember. Understand?
Yes, Prabhu.
So as we were saying, the central point of this whole thing is that one should learn how to become, meek and humble, you know. That is the underlying factor in devotional service. Without this quality, devotional service cannot take place, you know.
What is the quality of meek?
Meek means, what does meek means? Let's find out exactly what does meek means.
Oh, look at that.
So that we can get to it.
Submissive, really, isn't it? Quiet,
Meek means quiet.
quiet, gentle, easily imposed on, and submissive.
I think the word submissive is more suiting, you know. Yes.
Yes, for the submissive.
So meek means submissive, showing patience, humility, gentle, easily imposed on. You hear that verse? Easily imposed on. I think easily imposed on and submissive. That means accept readily, you know. Not that you're argumentative, you know. So we have to have this quality. Then yes, we can learn some things. We are challenging and we are argumentative and we are very, what we say, resilient, you know. They want to accept nothing, hard-headed. Then it is difficult to make progress. But that doesn't mean that we become so gullible that we swallow everything, you know. That's why we should surrender with intelligence. You understand?
That makes sense.
So usually a person who is in a distressed position, he fits into this category, you know. That's why Krishna, the first thing he does if he wants to make someone a devotee, he says here.
1088, yeah.
So this is the first thing he says he does, you know.
That's what I know.
You understand?
I especially favor someone. I gradually deprive him of his wealth. Then the relatives and the friends of such a poverty-stricken man abandon him. In this way, he suffers one distress after another.
See the point here. So the real thing is to humble the person up,
I guess that's why the Hindus don't like to surrender to Krishna, because they don't want to lose the
Krishna,
wealth.
not necessary. Krishna will not do this to anybody. Only a devotee. That's why the word here, if I specially favor someone, You understand? Specially favor means not like, everybody, You understand? So someone has some, like Srila Prabhupada, he was favored, so Krishna took everything away from him. You understand?
Yes,
But if
Prabhu.
a person is surrendering already, then why he needs to take everything away?
Yes, correct.
Right? Especially if someone is in the, materialistic condition of life and is very, he wants to kind of enjoy materially. So to get him to on a devotional platform, this thing has to be done. That's the point, is that to bring him down to humility, to humbleness. You see this point?
Yes, Prabhu.
So if this thing is not there, then the person will never surrender. And Krishna says in the next verse, see, when he becomes frustrated in attempt to make money and instead befriends my devotee, this is the point here. I bestow my special mercy upon him. The whole idea is to come to the, nobody goes to the devotees. They don't like it. So until he gets associated with the devotees, the spiritual life doesn't take off, You understand?
Yes, Prabhu.
So becoming humble, meek and humble is a prerequisite to getting spiritual, connection. Then yes, everything flows from there. Provided we keep being humble, When we try to think that we have now gone over the hill, get into pride, then everything is finished, no?
Yes.
There's another point here, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was making this point.
Well, Brahmana, austerity and learning are certainly auspicious. But when acquired by a person who is not gentle, such austerity and learning are most dangerous. What is that? It is said that a jewel is very valuable, but when it is on the hood of a serpent, it is dangerous despite its value. Similarly, when a materialistic non-devotee achieves great success in learning austerity, that success is dangerous for all society. So-called learned scientists, for example, invent atomic weapons that are dangerous for all humanity. It is therefore said, Manina Bhushita Sarapakim Asubna Bayankara. A serpent with a jewel on its hood is as dangerous as a serpent without such a jewel. Durvasa Muni was a very learned Brahmana equipped with mystic power. But because he was not a gentleman, he did not know how to use his power. He was therefore extremely dangerous. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is never inclined toward a dangerous person who uses mystic power for some personal design. By the laws of nature, therefore, such misuse of power is ultimately dangerous, not for society, but for the person who misuses it.
So that
Yes, makes sense.
so we have to understand that this is how our mind gets,
So you could say like that's like the current situation in ISKCON. They've got that power, but if they're like serpents, they're misusing it.
We have to understand that how we get sidetracked, You follow?
Yes,
Yes, Prabhu.
hey, Brody.
Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "You're both a greatly learned scholar and a great devotee. Wherever there are two such attributes, there cannot be a mountain of false pride."
See, so when we get, materially what we say, potent, we get some opulence, then we always fall into this, Especially if a person who is he acquires the material assets, especially wealth.
Narada Muni said, "Among all the attractions of material enjoyment, the attraction of riches bewilders one's intelligence more than having beautiful bodily features, taking birth in an aristocratic family, and being learned. When one is uneducated but falsely puffed up by wealth, the result is that one engages his wealth in enjoying wine, women, and gambling."
That become falsely puffed up by wealth.
Ego.
That's why Krishna said that's now, first thing I do is take away his wealth.
Yes,
That's right.
Support.
Among the three modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, people are certainly conducted by the lower qualities, namely passion and ignorance, and especially by passion. Conducted by the mode of passion, one becomes more and more involved in material existence. Therefore, human life is meant for subduing the modes of passion and ignorance and advancing in the mode of goodness. This is culture. One must subdue the modes of passion and ignorance. In the mode of passion, when one is falsely proud of wealth, one engages his wealth only for three things, namely wine, women, and gambling. We can see, especially in this age, that those who have unnecessary riches simply try to enjoy these three things. In Western civilization, these three things are very prominent because of an unnecessary increase of wealth. Narada Muni considered all this in the case of Manigriva and Nalakura, because he found in them so much pride in the wealth of their father, Kuvera.
Unable to control their senses, rascals who are falsely proud of their riches or their birth in aristocratic families are so cruel that to maintain their perishable bodies, which they think will never grow old or die, they kill poor animals without mercy. Sometimes they kill animals merely to enjoy an exertion. While living, one may be proud of one's body, thinking oneself a very big man, minister, president, or even demigod. But whatever one may be, after death, his body will turn either into worms, into stool, or into ashes. If one kills poor animals to satisfy the temporary whims of this body, one does not know that he will suffer his next birth. For such a sinful miscreant must go to hell and suffer the results of his action. This is Yamaraj talking, is it? No.
Narada Muni
Oh, no.
talking to the sons of Kuvera.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
While
While
alive,
alive, oh, yeah, right.
does this body belong to its employer, to the self, to the father, the mother, or the mother's father? Does it belong to the person who takes it away by force, to the slave master who purchases it, or to the sons who burn it in the fire? Or if the body is not burned, does it belong to the dogs that eat it? Among the many possible claimants, who is the rightful claimant? Not to ascertain this, but instead to maintain the body by sinful activities is not good. This body, after all, is produced by the unmanifested nature and again annihilated and merged into the natural elements. Therefore, it is the common property of everyone. Under the circumstances, who but a rascal claims this property as his own, and while maintaining it, commits such sinful activities as killing animals just to satisfy his whims? Unless one is a rascal, one cannot commit such sinful activities.
See, so this is how the degradation goes more and more, Try to commit violence.
The atheistic fools and rascals who are very much proud of wealth, fail the silly things as they are. Therefore, returning them to poverty is a proper ointment for their eyes, so they may see things as they are. At least a poverty-stricken man can realize how painful poverty is, and therefore he will not want others to be in a painful condition like his own. Very true.
This is where humility comes, no?
Yes.
Caring for others.
That's why it's like most of the poor countries are very already humble.
They know we all are suffering, why give pain to others? It says here in the next verse.
By seeing their faces, one whose body has been pricked by pins can understand the pain of others who are pinpricked. Realizing that this pain is the same for everyone, he does not want others to suffer in this way. One who has never been pricked by pins cannot understand this pain. I've heard this verse a long time ago when I was brahmachari. Now I can find it again.
So you are hearing again?
Yeah, very nice.
That's why he says Bhagavatam must be heard. Nasta prayeshwa bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya. Prabhupada said every part of this Bhagavatam is nectar.
It's very again. relishing again and again.
Correct. So
Very
this is
strong.
how the analogy is given, by seeing the faces of someone who's picked by pain. Others can understand what pain it brings.
Hmm.
Realizing that this pain is the same for everyone. He does not want others to suffer in this way.
That's a good verse for Max.
For every one of us. That's why, of course, we may be pinprick or some kind of a crazy, trouble we go through. So material pain is created in many ways by one's own mind, other people's mind, or created by the demigods. Yes.
Yes, sir.
That's true.
So we know it's so painful, why we should put others in pain,
Hmm.
And that's-
And that's why we need to preach, because if we understand that pain.
Says here,
Devotee should never engage. No. Any person should never let others frighten or disturb him, and similarly should ever frighten or disturb other people. He should try the insults of others and should himself never belittle anyone. Never create hostility with anyone for the sake of the material body, who would thus be no better than an animal.
Okay.
so we should, have this way of attitude,
Yes, sir.
So all these transcendental qualities can come when one has humility,
That's a good
Yes.
verse from New Zealand.
Huh?
Oh, just that verse reminds me of New Zealand. Belittling and violence and things.
Yes.
A poverty-stricken man must automatically undergo austerities and penances because he does not have the wealth to possess anything. Thus his false prestige is vanquished. Always in need of food, shelter, and clothing, he must be satisfied with what is obtained by the mercy of Providence. Undergoing such compulsory austerities is good for him because this purifies him and completely frees him from false ego.
Got a point here? Huh? The whole thing is this false ego. And this false ego brings about all kind of crazy qualities, Do you know that?
Yes, Prabhu.
You know what are the qualities you get when you get lumped in false ego?
That's true.
What's that, sorry, bro?
Not sure.
What were you saying, sorry?
When you get into false ego, what are all the bad qualities you get?
Pride, arrogance, envy.
Ignorance.
Let me find out. I bring out the words for you, These are all the bad things that come when you get false ego,
So much knowledge in 11th canto.
Yeah.
So much knowledge in 11th canto.
Yeah.
Lamentation, elation, fear, anger, greed, confusion, and hankering, as well as birth and death, are experiences of the false ego and not of the pure soul. Lamentation. Thanks.
So this is how you get covered, you know. You follow.
That's Prabhu.
The living entity who falsely identifies with his body, senses, life, air, and mind, and who dwells within these coverings assumes the form of his own material conditioned qualities in work. He is designated variously in relation to the total material energy, and thus, under the strict control of the supreme time, he is forced to run here and there within the material universe, existence.
It's all the working of the false ego, you know. You understand?
That's Prabhu.
Hmm?
Yes. Yes.
Another thing that the false ego creates is this.
You should consider how, by the influence of my illusory energy, these three states of mind caused by the modes of modes of nature have been artificially imagined to exist in me. Having definitely ascertained the truth of the soul, you should utilize the sharpened sword of knowledge, acquired by logical reflection and from the instructions of the sages and Vedic literatures, to completely cut off the false ego, which is the breeding ground of all doubts. All of you should then worship me, who am situated within the heart.
You understand this?
That's right.
The breeding ground of all doubts.
Hmm?
Logical reflections.
So this is how false ego, you know, screws a person up, you know.
Very important thing too.
What?
Just noting verses.
Huh?
Just making notes of the verses.
Oh, making notes. Oh, okay.
Just screenshot it, didn't I?
So you see how it goes, you know, without humility, pride, false ego, problems, anxiety. Hmm?
Also,
Yes.
That's Prabhu.
The only way to get out of this is only one way, you know. We have to become humble and we have to surrender to a spiritual master. Hmm.
Read this one. Although the false ego has no factual basis, it is perceived in many forms as the functions of the mind, speech, life, air, and bodily faculties. But with the sword of transcendental knowledge, sharpened by worship of a bona fide spiritual master, a sober sage will cut off this false identification and live in this world free from all material attachment.
Understand this?
that's true.
Hmm? Two things you need: transcendental knowledge. That cannot get knowledge without the bona fide spiritual master. And you have to worship him. That means surrender. Surrender means humility. Yes.
Yes, Prabhu.
Otherwise, forget it. A guy is full of false ego, he will never surrender. Yes.
Yes, Prabhu.
Hmm. So you see how we are, so undergoing with such compulsory austerity is good for him because this purifies and completely frees him from false. In other words, austerity is very important also. Huh? Actually, without austerity, you cannot meet a spiritual master at all. That's not possible. It says here,
Maybe this verse. We quoted this one in Philippines. Persons whose austerity is meager can hardly obtain the service of pure devotees, progressing on a path back to the kingdom of Godhead, the Vaikunthas. Pure devotees engage 100% in glorifying the Supreme Lord, who is the Lord of all demigods and the controller of all living entities.
understand? So if the austerity is meager, they cannot get the association of the pure devotees.
Yes.
You understand?
Yes, Prabhu.
That's why we ask you to do simple austerity, follow the 4 principles. Chant 16 rounds, wake up in the morning.
Mhm.
Yes?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes.
So that we can get purified enough. Why we need to associate with pure devotees? Huh? Why?
To wake up.
Why we need pure devotees association?
To not fall down, to not get distracted, get tainted.
O twice born sages, by serving those devotees who are completely freed from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity for hearing the message of Vasudeva.
Understand this? Hmm?
Prabhu.
Then we develop some taste for hearing, to revive our attraction for Krishna. You only can come about by serving great devotees. You understand?
Yes, sir.
Prabhu.
Everything is very scientific, It's not something whimsical. We are doing something whimsical. No.
That's correct.
And then when you get taste for hearing about Krishna, then yes, all this so-called nonsense we are going through comes. We become purified.
Sri Krishna, personality of Godhead, who is a Paramatma, super soul, in everyone's heart and a benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted.
Yes.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes.
So this is the turning point. It all comes from humility, surrender. Right? So when this damage is not just that we chant one time, we have to, as we chant this, constantly, regularly attending classes, And rendering service to the pure devotees is another thing. You also have to hear. Hmm? Correct?
That's Prabhu.
Yes.
By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact.
Why here the word is almost, why not completely destroyed? Why is it almost?
Surrender.
Ah.
What's the answer to that?
Rendered. Or it's completely destroyed because it's still within the material body. Is it not? Oh.
No.
Oh, because we're not 100% purified, also 100% surrendered. Is it?
Say here in this verse.
Oh, I think I remember that class. I remember you giving class, asking this question in Singapore for in the class.
Yeah?
I remember one class in Singapore, you were giving this question. I think it was a Sunday feast.
So here you can see, not going there, huh? So you can see here in this verse, or in different verse here, this verse. You can see here in this verse, beginning, you have to have faith. Huh? You have to have faith in the beginning. Then you have initiation. Then you do rules and regulation. That way all dirty things in the heart is cleaned up. When that happens, you develop this taste of becoming fixed up. And you develop taste, you see? So when you come to this stage of attraction to Krishna, and when you come to this bhava platform, where you have preliminary ecstasy, and that time it's completely cleaned up. And
You say preliminary ecstasy.
you are attracted to Krishna, and you're always thinking of him, You understand?
Yes, sir.
You have not developed love for him. You're always thinking, how is he doing? Is he eaten? Instead of thinking of yourself, you're thinking about him more, ecstasy, So this is called the bhava. The bhava means your mind is always attracted to the Lord, You understand?
Yes,
That's
sir.
true.
Now everything we do, we are attracted to ourselves, no? Or to our immediate attraction is our extension, But the same way we are thinking of only Krishna, whether he is eaten, whether he is slept, what's he doing now, he's running on the forest, his leg must be, so many things, it's just only on him. That's called bhava, And then you love. Love of God means you're crying, shedding tears, so many things. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu showed that. Yes?
Yes, sir.
So when you come to this platform, then your sinful activity is completely destroyed. Of course, when you take initiation, you're also completely, free from sinful reaction. So all that is troublesome in the heart is almost completely destroyed. But when you come to that platform, it is completely destroyed. So this process of beginning to associate with devotees and to hear the Bhagavatam regularly itself is very, very purifying. You understand?
Yes, Prabhu.
Destroys all these bad qualities in our hearts. And then when this happens, then we are free from the mode of passion and ignorance. Tada rajas tamo bhav, kama loba, adaya chaya, chetere terana viddham, stitam satya prasidati.
Soon as irrevocable loving service is established in the heart, the effects of nature's modes of passion and ignorance, such as lust, desire, and hankering, disappear from the heart. Then the devotee is established in goodness and becomes completely happy. Very nice verse.
You understand?
Yes,
So the moment you take up this process, you become fixed up, nishta. That's now the verse. You see, you become nishta, nastiki, fixed up,
Nastiki brahmachari.
Mm.
That's where that comes from.
Mm. So you come to the nishta platform. So when you are fixed up, then you can overcome all this, see all these qualities developed, in the heart. Last especially is finished. Huh?
Yes, sir.
yes, Prabhu.
Then the devotee established in goodness becomes completely happy. And that's not finished, Then you see, evam prasanna manaso bhagavad bhakti yogataha bhagavad tattva vijnanam mukta sangasha jayati, says here.
Thus established in the mode of unalloyed goodness, the man whose mind has been enlivened by contact with devotional service to the Lord gains positive scientific knowledge of the personality of Godhead in a stage of liberation from all material association.
You see here, when you come to that position, when you are in devotional service, you get realizations of all knowledge. Then you are actually liberated from all material. You are in the Brahma Bhuta platform. From the Jiva Bhuta to the Brahma Bhuta. You understand?
Yes.
And when you come to this platform of Brahma Bhuta, then this is how you get the knowledge, This is how the knowledge comes.
Always engaging in the activities of devotional service, devotees feel ever increasingly fresh and new in all their activities. The all-knower, the super soul within the heart of the devotee, makes everything increasingly fresh. This is known as the Brahman position by the advocates of the absolute truth. In such a liberated stage, Brahma Bhuta, one is never bewildered, nor does one lament or become unnecessarily jubilant. This is due to the Brahma Bhuta situation.
So how you get this knowledge? The Lord sitting in the heart. We read, in that 15:15 of the Bhagavad Gita, I gave the intelligence, the knowledge, the remembrance, and the forgetfulness. Correct?
Yes, sir.
So the moment you connect with Krishna, sitting in the heart, then this knowledge is coming.
I have a question, Prabhu.
Hmm.
I mean, like in regards to ISKCON actually, because obviously they're not connected to Krishna via bona fide spiritual masters. So therefore, they'll never get any increasingly fresh, the happiness or this knowledge.
No, you can see how their realization now. They don't know anything.
What do they run on? I mean, on sentiment.
It will see that's why they have high turnover,
Mm.
You know what the meaning of high turnover?
Yes, bro. Same with hospitality.
No, high turnover means
Come and
many
lose,
come and many go.
Many come and go. Yes.
Because there's no taste. That's why Prabhupada at one point said, stop making devotees. We just have to train them up.
True.
Boiling the milk, Why? Because knowledge is essential. To strengthen your conviction, you need this knowledge. And if you don't have, you associate with somebody who has, then you are also safe.
Rising moons and shooting
But if you
stars.
associate with third-class person who have no knowledge, then what is the outcome? And then it comes down to a social kind of movement. You only stay there because you have some enjoyment with friends and, like that.
Social
Not,
events, yeah.
not with full conviction,
Yes, right.
You understand?
So,
That's why I think you made a remark, right, Birdie, that I'm getting a lot of support from the scriptures. I think you wrote something, Did you write something?
for Prabhu?
Your realization.
Yeah. Oh, that it's the most pure and simply unadulterated. That's clear.
So you have to have this knowledge.
Yeah.
And it says here, knowledge is the key,
That's right.
You don't know, then how you live in full of doubts,
Yes.
Correct?
All
So
the other rascals.
Krishna makes it, always fresh and new. Yes.
Like
Yes,
now, this class. Like this class. Ever fresh and new. Something I've never heard of. Even though we've read the verse at the same time, before.
Yes.
It's
Done.
quite
What?
a lifetime of study because you always reading over and read again and again, get more realization.
You can't hear it properly.
No, but hearing over and over again is also very important, no?
Yes,
Correct. Although you have known this, but here we are hearing how to apply this knowledge, no?
Yes, Prabhu.
It is called realization. Knowledge is gyan, Then when you come to this stage, then the knot in the heart is pierced. This is important. That means the material attachment is unshackled. All misgivings are cut to pieces and karma is finished. And then one sees, here it says one see oneself as the master. That means you see yourself as a spirit soul, servant of Krishna,
So Prabhupada asks us to remember the verse in the morning. Divya Gan, Hide Prakash.
Because you see oneself as a spirit soul, no more you are, you understand?
Yes, Prabhu.
So see how the whole process is working. Then the knot in the hardest place, all machine is cut, one sees itself the master. And then, yes, you see, certainly therefore, since time all transcendentalists have been rendering devotional service to Lord Krishna, the personality regarded with great delight because such devotional service is enlivening the self. This is a process. You understand?
Yes,
You
Prabhu.
want to get to enjoy the self, and this is the process. You cannot thrive anything else. But it starts with humility, you know.
That's true. Very good.
How to be always humble. That's also a difficult task, no? So the mind is never humble, you know. It surrenders to nobody, you know.
Right.
Yes. This mind, it doesn't surrender to nobody.
Oh, can we read? All the senses have been under the control of the mind since time immemorial. The mind itself never comes under the sway of any other. He is stronger than the strongest, and his godlike power is fearsome. Who can bring the mind under control becomes a master of all senses. I've never seen this verse before, actually.
Huh?
Yeah, we sing in the morning, lullaby. Amrita Power, Radha Krishna Gunaga, you know. This tongue and mind are the most spoken of them all.
You see how terrifying this mind is, huh? You cannot get the guy, you know, you cannot get it down. It's not possible.
I'm so puffed up on the mind.
You can see every morning you take your bead bag and say, okay, I want to chant, you know, I want to chant nicely. That's it. Before you know, you're gone.
Yes.
Yes.
What's that verse in the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhu? It says, I think it's in the second chapter, about the mind being more uncontrollable than the wind, like a sailboat.
Yeah.
260 something, maybe, 270.
270 or 71, I think. Even one of the senses are engaged can sweep away the mind, you know.
That's it.
Yes.
What's this? Yes, man. What's the story about the Brahma? Was it a Brahman? I'm not sure. He made a garden. Then he was so proud of his garden. And then
that is another thing, you know.
I mean, just like how the mind becomes so puffed up.
You know, the mind is not something lightweight, you know. You understand? 267, yeah?
267.
And the strong wind sweeps away a boat on the water. Even one of the roaming senses on the mind, on which the mind focuses, can carry away a man's intelligence.
This is just before this verse, then.
One who's not connected with the Supreme and Krishna consciousness, can neither have transcendental intelligence nor a steady mind, without which there is no possibility of peace. And how can there be any happiness without peace?
Yes.
Yes, Prabhu.
Hmm. So you see how if you want to mess around, good luck, no? Why so much people are trying all kind of things, but to get happiness? Hmm?
Yeah.
Trying the all kind of sense gratification.
The very bold verse. No possibility of peace.
Not possible. We're not being dogmatic here, you know. You can try. Nobody's saying no. Krishna gives the liberty of doubt, you know. You do what you like. You think you can get it? Fine. But you're not going to get it. That's for sure. But you're going to get it anyway by Maya. You understand?
Yes, Prabhu.
So better to eat the humble pie, they say, you know. That's the best. Become humble, get attached to the spiritual master. That's the only way. Without the help of the spiritual master, we cannot tame this crazy mind.
Yes, Prabhu.
That one failed employee helmsman. This uncontrolled mind is the greatest enemy of the living entity. If one neglects it or gives it a chance, it will grow more and more powerful and will become victorious. Although it is not factual, it is very strong. It covers the constitutional position of the soul. O King, please try to conquer this mind by the weapon of service, the lotus feet of the spiritual master, and the supreme person of Godhead. Do this with great care. Nice person.
There's no other recourse, you know. You can try.
So meaning that although it is not factual as in the mind, because it's temporary, obviously it's not. We're not.
Although it is not factual, because it's all the fantasy of the mind. You know. We are
Like
doing that verse. We are doing that verse, you know, on Sunday, Saturday. This verse here.
Everything happening with time within everything happening within time, which consists of past, present, and future, is merely a dream. That is a secret understanding in all Vedic literature.
Now you think this is factual, but when you go to sleep, you think that's factual.
The same.
When you wake up, you think this is real and that is a dream, but both is actually a dream.
Yeah. Living a good dream.
Yes. You understand? See how powerful Krishna is, you know. We all are living in his dream, you know. Mahavishnu is lying down, dreaming. Yoga Nidra. And we are inside the dream. And we think this is so real. Yes.
Yes,
Yes,
Prabhu.
Prabhu.
The only way to wake up from this dream is the only way.
O you who are free from all sinful activity, No one can counteract the effects of fruit activity simply by manufacturing a different activity, devoid of Krishna consciousness. All such activity is due to our ignorance. When we have a troublesome dream, we cannot relieve it with a troublesome hallucination. One can counteract a dream only by awaking. Similarly, our material existence is due to our ignorance and illusion. Unless we awaken to Krishna consciousness, we cannot be relieved of such dreams. For the ultimate solution to all problems, we must awaken to Krishna consciousness. Learn.
Yes.
Prabhu.
And you cannot wake up by yourself. That's not possible.
No.
Not possible to wake up by yourself.
A blind person can teach another blind person. No one else read?
The real
Okay.
interest of the living entity is to get out of the nescience that causes him to endure repeated birth and death. The only remedy is to surrender unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead through his representative. Unless one renders devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vasudeva, one cannot possibly become completely detached from this material world, nor can he possibly manifest real knowledge.
The only remedy, see that? This is the only remedy. There is no other remedy.
Very verse.
Yes?
Yes, Prabhu.
That's Prabhu.
129.
So we have to understand, again, to surrender to the representative means you have to have humility.
Mm.
If you don't have humility, then it becomes a different ball game altogether. That's why even if you find a person, it says here, surrender doesn't mean that, it's like an official thing, oh, I'm just surrendering, Prabhu. It doesn't make sense to surrender. You see, you want to read it?
One who desires his ultimate self-interest should cultivate friendship with those persons who have accepted Krishna as the Lord of their life. One should further develop an attitude of service toward all living beings. One should especially try to help those in the human form of life and among them, especially those who accept the principles of religious behavior. Among religious persons, one should especially render service to the pure devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
So this is the point, among religious person, one should especially render service to the pure devotees of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In the purport here, very important. You want to read on?
According to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura, the highest duty for devotees of the Supreme Lord is to establish friendship with those who have completely surrendered to Krishna and who have thus achieved Saranagati, shelter at the Lord's lotus feet. One should render service to both the Lord and his devotees, since the Lord is more pleased by sincere service rendered to his pure devotees. One should not only officially offer respect to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, his devotees, and his worshipful paraphernalia, but should actually render service to the representatives of the Lord, who are known as Mahabhagavatas.
So this is a very important point, We should not only officially offer respect. What does that mean? Oh, hi, Hare Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Like that, you can stay for 300 million years, nothing will happen. You understand? You must come down to do service.
Giving service directly. Yeah.
Not to, of course, to Krishna, but to devotees,
Hmm.
serving the devotees. Especially, of course, someone who is a Mahabhagavata, but all of us are representatives of Mahabhagavata Prabhupada. Yes?
So,
Yes.
So if we don't want to do this and maintain an official status, then that also we cannot make progress.
Hmm.
Yeah, many people come to our Sunday program, Hare Krishna Prabhu, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. And that's
Yeah.
been going on for years and years, no change. But those who do service, they make rapid advancement. So this
What was it?
quality have to be imbibed, service. Otherwise our spiritual life will stagnate, will not grow.
Mhm.
What was the
Yes,
story about? Yes.
yes, Prabhu.
What was the story about the Brahmin who came to get information from a high priest?
the Brahmins what?
A Brahmin came to a temple. Oh, it's really loud.
A Brahmin came to where?
He went to a temple and he was fire about devotional service, but he just wanted to hear. He just wanted to listen. He did not want to do service, but the guru then asked him to do service with the other devotees, and then we'll discuss. But he didn't know what to do. But eventually, he was put to do the service back, wash the pots. He directed. Said, "Oh, now I understand." Is
Really hard
made to
to
understand.
understand.
That story is Ramanuja,
Ramanuja.
Ramanuja is topmost disciple, who can memorize everything.
Lord Chaitanya's real. Yeah.
Ramananda Raj.
Ramanuja sent him to a house of a lady who have no servant, and make him scrub her pots and clean her house and all that.
Hmm.
That to teach what it means to be humble. Because knowledge can be very, very, just now we read, no, earlier was, knowledge can bring a lot of pride, no?
Without the knowledge and being a great devotee.
Cannot go together. Like me, I'm getting very proud and puffed up because I think I have all this knowledge.
You have the knowledge and the humility, both.
Maybe in front of the Zoom session, boy, outside I'm roaring like a lion.
No, we live on the floor.
So therefore, we have to know. This is very important. Yes, buddy.
Yes, Prabhu.
So you have over 40 verses you spoke today.
I can
You've
hardly
quoted
keep up.
over 40 verses today.
40 verses.
Yeah, I screenshotted them all.
I think you
I'll
should
keep up.
you come to our classes, you lose your storage place, boy. To buy more bytes, I think.
That's true.
So any questions upon this point? We just spoke about humility, no? So therefore it is easier, you see, and this verse we didn't finish actually. We read this, I think, pin pricking. Yeah, there was a pinprick verse, right? Yeah, no. Send the person here, this one. You see this? Can you read?
Saintly persons may freely associate with those who are poverty-stricken, but not with those who are rich. A poverty-stricken man, by association with saintly persons, very soon becomes uninterested in material desires, and the dirty things within the core of his heart are cleansed away.
Yes.
Saintly persons think of Krishna 24 hours a day. They have no other interest. Why should people neglect their association of such exalted personalities and try to associate with materialists, taking shelter of non-devotees, most of whom are proud and rich?
So I guess I have to wrap up.
Ready?
Any questions on this points? Our crowd is becoming smaller and smaller.
We
I was about to say the same thing.
Nobody seems to like this knowledge, looks like.
No, just trying to
it's
become
too pure for them.
Huh?
It's too pure for them.
Well, what to do? This always happens. We got the recording. I guess we can always share it around.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Uh,
I'll put on the WhatsApp group again.
Yeah.
Rising moons and shooting stars.
Because we are talking about serious subjects. Only serious people will be interested.
Yes, sir.
And those who don't have the kind of austerity, they will never come.
It was a very nice class. Sir.
well, it says,
I don't know, all the verses are so nice, and repeating and reading them gives so much satisfaction in the heart.
That's
Yes.
Yes, sir.
everything else is forgotten.
That's why we like your classes so much.
So, only you and him and Birdie likes the class, where everyone else has ran away.
it's very direct. A lot of people don't like such directness.
I am not
No,
speaking, I'm
okay.
just showing you what's in the Bhagavatam. You don't like me, it's not me.
Because you don't water it down.
I mean, that's what it is, A person is going to die in 7 days. You think they're going to talk some stories? Come on, let's face the fact, Not for you to like or not like, there's a fact,
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
And truth hurts,
yeah. Affects the false ego.
What can you do? Truth hurts, You find out the truth. It's definitely not some, good thing to hear, because we all are caught in the trap of false ego.
Yeah.
Unnecessarily been propped up, thinking we are a big angel and big whatnot, by the mind. The mind is every day speaking glories of ourselves.
Yes, true.
So what it is, you go in front of the mirror and you see, wow, look at me, such a great personality. Yes,
Yes,
that's what it is. And when the reality comes, that hurts.
And slapped in the face.
Yes. So anyway, I think we should try to help others,
Yes, sir.
At least, maybe you can do one thing. You can start a class just by reading Prabhupada's, maybe the Bhagavad Gita, the verses and the purports,
You mean
That
like a
will
Zoom?
draw more people to our group, You have one day in your session, maybe Sunday, I don't know, whichever is convenient. You just have a reading session,
Actually,
Then,
Prabhu, I started doing as of today, some cooking. I'm cooking at the Buddhist center here in Sunshine Coast,
Mm.
and they gave me opportunity to cook prasadam there for everyone. But they have a lot of like opportunities to do lectures in the what do you call them? They do like programs, retreats for everyone there,
Mm.
and they have obviously they have their own teachings. We could also implement something there, maybe. I think.
I think if you start with this reading session, let people come and read, you know.
Mhm.
Like
Easier.
those,
There's no kind of a, you know, what do you say, strings attached, you know. You just come read and then each one read 2, 3 verses and go on and for half an hour or something. And that way you bring in all the new people, you know.
yeah.
Hmm?
Yes, yes.
Try. And then you invite them for this class, then we will beat them out. Yes, those who stay, they are fortunate. Those who go, what to do?
We'd like to have a class with Sundar Gopal Prabhu.
That's a very frightening name, boy. The moment you say my name.
Like
People shake
Singa.
yeah.